Expect Ty Simpson to go in the first round, and how do you guys kind of feel about Ty after your thorough evaluation?
Great question. I wouldn't comment on the first part of it, but in terms of the second part of it, we've enjoyed the time that we spent with Ty.
Follow up on that. In the event that you did end up with a Ty Simpson, how does that impact Shedeur Sanders?
I guess I'd say this: like, if we add a quarterback, we have a lot of love for the quarterbacks that are in the room. That's probably the first thing. So, like, that decision would be made independently of anything that we add to the room.
Andrew Berry just lit a match under the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. And if you were paying attention to what he said, then you already know this is way bigger than a routine pre-draft press conference. Because this was not one of those boring front office sessions where a general manager says a bunch of safe things, smiles, and walks off without telling you anything real. No, Andrew Berry said just enough to make it obvious that something serious is brewing. And the second Ty Simpson's name came up in connection with Shedeur Sanders, the whole energy around this Browns quarterback situation changed. The wild part is Berry never had to come out and say, yes, there's a battle. He did not need to say, we're thinking about replacing this guy or we're worried about that guy. He did not have to be that direct. That is what made it hit even harder. He gave the kind of answer that front office people love to give. Careful, polished, full of flexibility, but if you actually listen closely, the message underneath it was loud. The Browns are still open. The Browns are still evaluating. And the Browns are not closing the door on bringing in another quarterback, even with Shedeur Sanders already sitting in that room.
We've enjoyed the time that we spent with Ty. Son of a coach, really smart, very driven. He's physically talented. He has a very unique college journey. In terms of coming in as a 5-star and then really having to wait his turn behind two pretty talented quarterbacks in Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe before getting his.
And once that got out there, it immediately raised the question Browns fans do not want to ignore. Why? Why would Ty Simpson even be part of this conversation if the organization was fully locked in on Shedeur? Why mention how much they liked him? Why talk about enjoying the time they spent with him, how smart he is, how driven he is, how talented he is, and how he maximized his opportunity? That is not the kind of answer you give about a random prospect you have no real interest in. That is the kind of answer you give when a guy is firmly on your radar and you want everybody to know he is a real option without fully showing your hand. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Andrew Berry was not just talking about Ty Simpson like a quarterback prospect. He was talking about him like a possible fit. There is a difference. Teams praise prospects every year, sure. They say nice things, they compliment character, they compliment background. But Berry went out of his way to frame Ty as smart.
Great question. I wouldn't comment on the first part of it. But in terms of the second part of it, we've enjoyed the time that we spent with Ty. Son of a coach, really smart, very driven. He's physically talented. He has a very unique college journey. In terms of coming in as a 5-star and then really having to wait his turn behind two pretty talented quarterbacks in Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe before getting his.
Coachable, physically gifted, and somebody who had a unique journey and made the most of his chance. That is not empty draft speak. That is the kind of language that tells you the Browns have done real homework, real projection, and real imagining of what he could look like in their building. And the timing of it is what makes this story so spicy, because this is not happening in some vacuum where the Browns don't already have a quarterback narrative forming. Shedeur Sanders is already one of the biggest names connected to the future of this team. He is already the guy fans debate. He is already the young quarterback people are watching, defending, doubting, and hyping up every single day. So when Berry starts publicly talking about another quarterback in a way that sounds more than casual, people are obviously going to connect the dots. They're going to wonder if this front office is quietly putting pressure on Shedeur before he's even had the chance to fully settle into that future franchise conversation. This is where it gets dangerous, because quarterback rooms do not need much to turn awkward. They really don't. You mention one new name, hinted one new option, and suddenly everything becomes competition. Every throw in practice means more. Every rep gets analyzed. Every coach interaction gets read into. Every time one quarterback gets praise, the other one hears it louder than anybody else. That is why these situations can go from healthy competition to quiet tension real fast. And when the quarterback in question is someone like Shedeur Sanders, whose confidence and star power already attract attention, you better believe people inside and outside the building are going to read every move like it means something bigger. Now, let's really break down what Barry said, because the wording matters here. He talked about maximizing the Browns' most valuable asset. He said that can take different forms. It can be drafting a player, it can be trading down, it can be trading up, it can even be turning that pick into a veteran. That alone should tell you the Browns are not walking into this draft married to one simple plan. They're open, they're flexible, they're willing to pivot. And if that is the mindset at the top, then nobody in that quarterback room should feel too comfortable. That flexibility sounds smart on paper, and honestly it is. Good front offices are supposed to think like that. Barry even joked about how last year people assumed they weren't trading down, and this year everybody assumes they are. He made it clear that every year is different, and the dynamics change based on players, demand, location, and opportunity. Again, that's standard GM language, but standard GM language becomes a lot more interesting when it's happening on top of a developing quarterback controversy, because now every mention of flexibility sounds like a warning shot.
Barry did not dismiss the quarterback addition question the way a front office would if it truly wanted to shut down the conversation. He did not say, "We're good where we are." He did not say, "We believe in our current room and that's the end of it." Instead, when asked how adding a quarterback like Ty Simpson would affect Shedeur Sanders and the rest of the room, he basically sidestepped the direct answer and said he does not love dealing in hypotheticals. Then he followed it up by saying that if they add a quarterback, the decision would be made independently of the guys already in the room, because they have love for those quarterbacks too. That sounds harmless at first, but it really is not, because what he actually did there was keep every door open. He protected the current room without promising anything to it. He gave support without giving security. And in the NFL, that is a huge difference. A quarterback does not just want to hear that the team likes him. He wants to know the organization is building with him in mind. He wants to feel like the plan is shaped around him. Barry did not give that energy at all. He gave, "We'll add what helps us and everybody else will just have to deal with it." This is where young players usually make a mistake. They hear, "We love the quarterbacks in the room," and think that means the team is committed. It does not. Teams say that all the time. Front offices say that right before drafting another quarterback. They say that right before trading for competition. They say that right before flipping the whole room upside down. Loving the room and protecting the room are not the same thing. And Andrew Barry, whether intentional or not, made it crystal clear that the Browns are still in evaluation mode. And that is why Ty Simpson matters here. Because this is not just about another prospect existing in the draft. This is about the kind of prospect he is. Barry highlighted that he's the son of a coach. That matters because front offices love guys they think are wired the right way. He talked about his intelligence and drive. Again, those are traits NFL decision-makers obsess over at quarterback. Then he pointed out Simpson's unique college path, how he came in with big expectations, had to wait behind talented players, and then eventually made the most of his opportunity. If you were listening as a Browns fan, that is not random praise. That sounds like a checklist. That sounds like Barry explaining exactly why Ty Simpson fits the kind of quarterback profile this organization values. And suddenly, the Shedeur comparison starts writing itself. Because Shedeur's name already comes with noise, star power, confidence, attention, debate, big expectations, big reactions. People either love the swagger or question it. Ty Simpson, at least in the way Barry described him, comes off like the quieter alternative, the system guy, the smart and steady one, the patient one, the son of a coach, the grinder. And whether fair or unfair, that creates a contrast. It creates two very different quarterback archetypes living in the same conversation. One is magnetic and high profile, the other feels clean, composed, and maybe easier for an old-school front office to trust. This is where it gets dangerous again, because once fans start turning quarterback competition into personality competition, things get messy. Now it's not just who throws better, it becomes who is more mature, who is more stable, who is more coachable, who is more reliable. And when those labels start floating around, they can take on a life of their own. Shedeur becomes the flashy one with pressure attached. Ty becomes the calm one with hidden appeal. Whether either label is fully true doesn't even matter at that point. What matters is that the story starts growing bigger than football. Barry also said something else that really matters. He talked about how, when the Browns made their strategic pivot to get younger, the point was to give younger players runway. That word is important, runway. Time to grow, time to develop, time to play their way forward. But then he also said that mindset can shift a little once you become a more veteran and established team. That's a subtle line, but don't miss what it means. The Browns don't necessarily sound like they're in full wait and develop mode forever. They want progress, they want competition, they want young players to earn those opportunities, not just be gifted them.